Trapmore gang, it is insane news coming out of the United States. Donald Trump and the United States military have just led strikes on Venezuela. Okay, they're really VDK out here. Okay, they're Venezuela killers. They have taken out the country. They have toppled the alleged dictator of the country, and a lot of people are mad. Now, I'm not the biggest political buff, but this story definitely has captured my interest, and I think it would be cool if we learned about this a little bit together and kind of broke down some of the backstory and some of the reaction about this from some of the most unusual corners of the internet, okay? Because if you know me, I'm known for covering gangsters, gangster rappers, drill, street gang beefs, and in some ways, this incident has kind of highlighted just how much really of a gangster Donald Trump is. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but he's actually been catching bodies on the Venezuelans for like a couple of months now. And I'm just going to keep it very real with you, okay? He's been sliding and catching hats. I don't know how else to say it to you, okay? I don't mean to make light of the situation, but that's really what's been going on. So let's just go straight off the bat, okay? This is some of CNN's reporting on the situation. This is basically pictures of the US strikes on Venezuela and the capturing of their president, apparently the allegedly illegitimate president, Maduro. Okay, so this is what's been going on. Donald Trump announced early Saturday that the US had captured the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife, all right, Mr. Take Your Bitch, indeed, after carrying out a large-scale strike in the South American country. The raid was carried out by the U.S. Army's elite Delta Force. Bro, if the Delta Force are pulling up on you, it's a fucking long day. I'm not going to lie, I don't want to say it, all right? It didn't lead to any U.S. casualties, okay? It's a clean sheet, and the Trump administration has been saying for years that Maduro was actually a criminal, and they've looked to prosecute him through the U.S. legal system. Well, they've decided that today was the day, 2026, we're standing on business, and we're going to go in there, and we're going to get his ass, bring him back to New York, and he has apparently just arrived back in New York. Back in 2020, during Trump's first term, Maduro was charged in the Southern District of New York for narco-terrorism, conspiracy to import cocaine, and related charges. So they've had these charges on him. They've had him marked. They've said, you are the top op. We are going to take you out. No ifs, ands, or buts for a minute. And basically, so this says, in recent weeks, Trump has recently repeatedly warned that the US was preparing to take new action against alleged drug trafficking networks in Venezuela and that strikes on land will start soon. Trump's pressure campaign on Maduro included strikes destroying more than 30 boats in the Caribbean Sea. And I'm telling you, bodies were getting dropped in that sea. Okay, I'm going to tell you in a minute. There's bodies was getting dropped back to back to back to back. He was sliding in the sea. It's crazy. Okay, and the US described it as a counter-narcotics campaign. Trump last month ordered a blockade of sanctioned oil tankers coming in and leaving Venezuela. And Trump basically said Saturday the US is going to run Venezuela indefinitely until a proper and judicious transition has occurred. So a lot of Venezuelans were actually overjoyed and really happy about Maduro being gone. People were calling for freedom for Venezuela in Tenerife and the Canary Islands. Shout out to Tenerife, I pulled up there one time. It's really interesting because a lot of people are acting outraged. That's a picture of him in cuffs. The DEA got his ass, dragging his ass back to New York City. All right, it's a literal perp walk of the ousted Venezuelan leader. I'm not gonna lie, whether or not you like or dislike Trump, he's standing on bit. He's grabbing dictators from other countries and bringing them back to New York in the dead of night like that. That is absolute insanity. Okay. This is the van apparently carrying him at Wall Street heliport in New York. He pulled up. They got him. There he is arriving at the heliport. He's throwing up the peace sign to people. He was brought in on a helicopter with his wife. Who knows if his wife's going to be ended up, in cuffs or, in charges. That's him in a grey Nike Tech. A lot of people are saying, yo, like this guy, they put him in a grey Nike Tech. Like, what the hell is going on here? Okay. Not bulging too hard, but Trump spoke out to the media from Mar-a-Lago, basically, and he kind of spoke out, broke it down, basically explained what was going on, and said that all Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military working with us, law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. They really grabbed hold of him. And Venezuelans living in Argentina were displaying the Venezuelan flag. It reads freedom, and they would all celebrate. So a lot of people are celebrating. It's ironic, and I'm not really super political, especially when it comes to US politics, because I'm not from the US. Okay, I'm over here. I'm a British boy. All right, is what it is. But I do have an interest and a fascination in American politics. UK is kind of like America's little bro. And, when I am in the US, I do find it interesting to look into their politics and learn about what's going on there. But it seems like a lot of people on the left leaning side of things. They're kind of like calling this out, saying, this is like the Iraq War. Trump's intervening and meddling in other countries. But ironically, okay, my screen's gone a little bit wonky over here. Ironically, a lot of people are actually really like happy that this has happened. A lot of people are actually like, in Venezuela, this guy was a dictator. They're not feeling it. So even though this is kind of low-key, arguably like an imperialist power grab, the people of Venezuela feel like they've been liberated. They're happy, okay? These are destroyed containers at Venezuela's port. They went in there, guns blazing. But people in Florida were waving the flag. The Venezuelans were super, super happy to hear that. Pro-government armed civilians were patrolling Venezuela after the news of Maduro's capture had spread. These guys aren't looking too tough. They took out your main man. You couldn't defend the big op. Okay. Protesters were gathering outside the White House to denounce the operation. But this is slightly different. This is slightly different to what happened in Iraq. And there was lots of pictures and images going around. Residents evacuating a building near the presidential palace. This is a fire seen at Fort Tuna in Caracas, which is where all of this went down. But there were a bunch of really interesting things. So there was actually videos of the strikes as they happened that were going around.
The United States hit Venezuela with a large-scale strike early Saturday and said its president, Nicolas Maduro, had been captured and flown out of the country. Here's what to know. Multiple explosions and low-flying aircraft were seen in Caracas in the early hours of Saturday morning. Maduro's government immediately accused the US of an imperialist attack on civilian and military installations. US President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social that Maduro had been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. He added that the operation was done in conjunction with US law enforcement. The apparent attack itself lasted less than 30 minutes. Trump said in his social media post that the strike was carried out successfully. It comes after the Trump administration has escalated pressure on Maduro, who has decried US military operations against alleged drug traffickers as a thinly veiled effort to oust him from power. It was not immediately clear who was running the country, and Maduro's whereabouts were not immediately known.
We know them now, all right? They grabbed his ass. People saying they picked him up faster than a DoorDash. 30-minute special military operation. Look, I'll keep it real. We could get into it another day. I don't know if you guys want to see me covering politics more on this channel, but I'll give you my opinions, man. I don't really fuck with Russia and the way that they invaded Ukraine. I'm pretty pro-Ukraine in general. People say there's a lot of corruption stuff going on there. But I do feel like Ukraine has a right to exist and it is a sovereign country. But Russia went in. They said it's going to be like, a couple-day military operation. We're going to take all of Ukraine. You guys flopped. You tried to kill Zelensky a bunch of times. You flopped. You slid. It was sloppy drills. You didn't get shit done. And this is really how you do a 30-minute special military operation. If Russia were really standing on business like the Americans were, they would have captured Zelensky in 30 minutes and got his ass out of there, and he would have been getting perp walked like Maduro was. But Russia, they ain't on shit. They ain't on piss. They're weak. All right. And for all the people that are like, oh, Russia, yeah, with Russia, Ukraine doesn't have a right to it, bro. Russia's some bitches. Russia's some hoes. They couldn't perform a drill like this, bro. They're not equipped to drill like this, right? People saying this might be the single most terrifying modern military operation. So we just flew in and blew everything up in our way and kidnapped a foreign president faster than an Uber would arrive. They really hit him with the Uber Lux. I'm not going to lie. They called in the Uber Lux, pulled up, picked him up, dropped him off at his destination, New York City. Quick time, 30 minutes, right? They're saying it makes a Call of Duty ghost look real, right? Did we just kidnap the leader of a country? Yeah, we did. Well, they did. Let me know which oil stock I need to buy. Any oil stock is going to do well, okay? So look, I ain't condoning it. I'm not saying this is a great thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing either. It might be hypocritical, but at the end of the day, this is a show of power. This is the United States saying, look, we stand on business. Nobody can fuck with us. We are number one. We will come in your country and grab your big dog, bro. We'll take out your big dog like that. Like, we don't give a shit. So that's what they did. They pulled up, all right? They went in, they grabbed the guy, and they just took him away. And I'm going to get into it in a minute as to why other countries are going to think that this is how they can move, but they can't because no one is as tough as the United States. The United States are the big dog. They're the top of the pyramid. They are the most powerful country on the world. And for people that want to go, all of these, there's a lot of people in the United States. I'm going to get political now. Fuck it. There's a lot of people that I meet in the United States that they low-key hate the United States from the inside, and they're like, oh, China's taking over. China's already bigger. The United States has fallen off. I'm going to move to Russia. Bro, you are dumb as hell, all right? China might have a bunch of people, and they got Temu everything. They got Temu. Their economy is falsely inflated, okay? They're broadcasting fake numbers. They're putting up skyscrapers that they can't fill and no one wants to live in them. Okay, the whole population is controlled. It is not as strong of a country as it looks. I don't want to say a paper tiger, but if it really came to World War III, okay, they'd be pulling up in the Timu F-15s. All right, their planes, everything sucked. They supplied Russia with a bunch of military equipment that sucked. All right, I heard that China supplied Russia with a bunch of tires for their invasion, and them shits was running flat. Like all of that shit that they had. There's a reason why people don't want to buy shit made in China. It's all well and good. You get it cheap, but it breaks. It's trash. Them Temu chains, all of that shit you buy from Temu, from Wish.com, it's trash. It's known to be trash. Whereas the United States military, okay, they flying in the Cadillacs, okay? It is built to last. It is built for war. The United States is not to be played with. Whether you're a self-hating American or whether you're a proud patriot, I'm neither. I'm from outside, but the United States is not to be fucked with, okay? So let's just go and have a little look back, okay, at some of the military operations that Trump has actually been doing in Venezuela, because he has been sliding over there for a minute. You might not be aware of this, okay? This was just 4 days ago, okay? Trump says the US hit a big facility linked to Venezuelan drug boats. He slid. They blew up a whole dock linked to Venezuelan drug boats. This was 4 days ago, okay? And I'm pretty sure people died. So this is since September, the US launched 30 strikes on what they say are drug smuggling boats targeting vessels in the Pacific and the Caribbean, and they killed more than 100 people. Trump caught 100 bodies on the Venezuelans like that, okay? He really big VDK out here. And I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying it's cool. Anybody losing their life is obviously a great tragedy, but at the same time, this is a show of power. He been sliding on Venezuela, okay? He took out 100 of their mans, and then he basically said, fuck it, I'm gonna grab the big dog, and we taking him alive, all right? Look at this.
There was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. They load the boats up with drugs, so we hit all the boats, and now we hit the area. It's the implementation area. That's where they implement, and that is no longer around.
She said it's no longer around. He took it out. It no longer exists. It's in the past. So that was, I believe, was that New Year's Eve? So I saw reporting that there was 8 bodies, right? 100 people have died since these operations have started. This particular strike just 4 days ago, Trump caught 8 hats, all right? 8 people got killed. I think actually this was a different one, okay? But I think this was on the same day, or this was maybe a day after. But the US military struck 5 alleged drug smuggling boats over 2 days. They killed 8 people while others jumped overboard and may have survived. They were over there just sliding, like standing on business, okay? They were calling them narco trafficking routes. Now, what is interesting and what possibly is going on here, okay? Some people, not me, I don't want to get in trouble in the United States, but some people are suggesting that what's really going on here is they're using narco smuggling and drug smuggling as a cover to wage war on Venezuela to get that sweet oil, that sweet Texas tea, okay? They want that oil, just like they wanted it in Iraq and Afghanistan and the Middle East and all that stuff. And I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's okay, but America runs on oil, okay? Fools out here driving 4-5 litre whips. They need that cheap oil, that cheap gas to go in their whips so that they can drive all over the place with their big engines. We be driving 1-2 litres, tiny engine cars, little hatchbacks in the UK. But in America, you driving the big Chevrolet, you driving the 6-litre Escalade, you driving the ESV, you know what I'm saying? You're pulling up in that Vet. We need that oil, man. We need that oil. So some people have said that's what this is really about. Now, all of this has been going on since September. There have been hella bodies caught. As I said before, there's been as many as 100 hats have been claimed since September, okay? The Wikipedia page says 115 people have been killed, all right? These in triple digits, okay? I'm like, damn, Donald, is you really up 115 hats? And it would have been 116, but one of their ass is missing and presumed to have checked. So this shit's crazy. I'm not gonna lie, this shit's actually crazy. So there's been all type of strikes, airstrikes on vessels. There's a list of all the hits, all the drills that they've gone on, okay? Literally from the start of September, boom, they blew up one vessel, they killed 11 people, boom. 2 weeks later, they slid again. One vessel, they killed 3 people, 3 bodies, 4 bodies, 6 bodies. You know, some people related to Colombia, they sliding on the Colombians, they sliding on the Venezuelans. They're just catching body after body after body. This one, they killed 14 people, 3 strikes on 4 vessels. There was only 1 survivor. Leave 1 survivor presumed dead. All right. Absolute carnage. All right. Absolute carnage. So basically, okay, there's images going around. Like, remember when Bin Laden got killed and we saw all those images of Barack Obama kind of in this war room looking at what was going on? The same thing was going on for Trump. So Trump was in the war room observing basically this whole operation going down. He was with Marco Rubio, General Kane, Defense Secretary Hegseth, Home Secretary, Security Advisor Stephen Miller, and other staff members, okay? And basically they was watching, Trump was watching the drill. He called the hit. He directed the hit. And again, I'm not saying I love Trump. I'm not saying I dislike. I'm pretty indifferent to taking sides in US politics. I can't vote. I'm not in the US like that. Like, it's just not. I love going to the United States, but I'm British at the end of the day, okay? And I could talk endlessly about English politics if you want, but I don't want to get arrested. So that's another story for another day. But, Trump's out here basically calling the hits, looking over the whole thing, man. And like, whether it's about that oil, whether it's about the narco, he's doing what he thinks is appropriate to secure the future of the United States, okay? And you know what I'm saying? It's a vibe. I'm not gonna lie, it's a vibe. They turned this picture black and white like something out The Godfather. Like, this would be a hard album cover. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, that would be absolutely insane. He's really watching the whole operation as it went down. And so apparently, okay, when the Americans pulled up, Maduro ran for the door. He tried to get out of there. He tried to flee, tried to do the dash like a bitch, all right? But they got his ass. They grabbed him up, all right? So apparently Maduro bolted for the door as the US forces raided, and Trump's attack actually stunned the world, okay? Inside his home on a military base, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro bolted for a safe room as the US troops swooped into the compound and explosions lit up the nighttime sky over Caracas. People are calling it the fracas in Caracas. Fracas is like a skirmish, like a clash, like a brawl. All right, Maduro made it as far as the door, but couldn't get it to shut. He couldn't shut the door. Close that back door. Don't get snaked by the allies. Members of the army secretive Delta Force grabbed the Venezuelan leader and his wife, Celia Flores. Really grabbed up his bitch. That's crazy. Whisked them out of the compound and took them to the USS Iwo Jima, an amphibious assault ship waiting for the South American coast. They did a full-blown kidnap. They grabbed his ass. They said, "We're taking you alive. We're taking you back to the trap." Officials said both will be traveling to the United States where they're under indictment. Both of them. His wife's under indictment too. Oh, sliding on the chick is crazy. Under drug trafficking charges, okay? And they landed in New York Saturday evening. A lot of people were celebrating, as you can see. But basically, yeah, it just completely stunned the world. I think we already saw what was going on with this. But basically, yeah, he was caught and he was slapped onto the USS Iwo Jima. Now, this was a viral image that was going around. It showed him in a grey Nike Tech. He was looking fresh. He was looking like he was trying to drill, but he ended up getting drilled before he could drill. And this is the drill starter pack outfit. Now, basically, a lot of people were saying, some people aren't feeling it. AOC, if you know American politics, you'll know that she's on the left side of things, a Democrat, very young. She's kind of shaking things up when it comes to politics and basically the Senate and all of that stuff. But she said it's not about drugs. If it was, Trump wouldn't have pardoned one of the largest narco traffickers in the world last month. It's about oil and regime change. Regime change. There you go. And they need a trial now to pretend that it isn't, especially to distract from the Epstein and skyrocketing healthcare costs. Now, I did see a lot of people saying, oh yeah, this is the perfect distraction for the Epstein files. Now look, the Epstein files is definitely pretty spicy. I could see people wanting a distraction, but to plunge the world into a global conflict, I don't think is a distraction. I think Trump was been planning this. He's been sliding and popping the Venezuelan drug smugglers since September. There's 115 bodies allegedly dropped. I think this was all leading up to this moment, and he just said, you know what, they're weak. I'm going to grab the guy. And he really showed the world how it's done. I'm not condoning it, but if Vladimir Putin was even a shred of the strong man that Trump actually is, he would have pulled it off in Ukraine. This is what he wishes he could have done in Ukraine, but he didn't actually have, the tough guys on his side like the Americans do. People saying they're ashamed to be American right now. We are the bad guys. Okay, but this is the thing, right? This is the thing. It's like a lot of people, and this is going to be probably quite a left-leaning subreddit. I personally feel like they're going a little bit hard on the left because a lot of the Venezuelans are happy about this. They felt like he was a dictator and he wasn't doing right by the country. People are saying we knew military action was inevitable. It was his last best card to play to distract from the Epstein files and the deteriorating economy. This is just my opinion. I don't know if everyone's going to disagree with me on this, but in my personal opinion, it's a little bit far-fetched. Like, for him to do all of this to distract from the Epstein files, they'd already filed these charges in the Southern District of New York back in 2020. Like, what? He knew the Epstein files would come out at this particular point in time, and we've kind of forgotten about it. Like, realistically, bro, we forgot about the Epstein files. It's been a few weeks. I'm not trying to downplay what's the horrific allegations that have been revealed in the Epstein files, but this was clearly something that was brewing for a while. And I think you're delusional if you really believe that the only reason that this is happening is because of that. They were saying his support is crumbling and MAGA is starting to suffer from infighting. They desperately needed a huge headline grab. That's really what this is all about, with the side benefit of lining the pockets of oil companies. I feel like, if anything, this would actually unify some of the people on Trump's side. People are saying we're the terrorists. With the full Nike Tech on is wild. This is the Nike Tech pack ads they imagined. Nike getting a good, when you don't win the war Nobel Peace Prize, it's back to warmongering. How does another country snatch the president of another country so easily without a fight from their army and personal security? I would think someone would shoot down a helicopter at a minimum. Do you remember this? Who remembers this, man? What, Mercenaries 2 War in Flames, okay? This was a game where basically it was like the game's primary objective was to assassinate the president of Venezuela, okay? So Trump really playing Mercenaries 2 World in Flames. Speed run, all right? 100% speed run, 30 minutes, beat the whole game, just absolutely out of control, okay? It is actually insane. Trump, you know what I'm saying? Trump really out here playing Mercenary 2 World in Flames. I'll hit you with a couple of jokes and a couple of memes before I get back to the serious stuff. Now, if you've been following this channel, it would be ironic, okay, if you're watching this for the first time, you're getting a little bit of political content from me, okay? But people are saying, I will be saying, my next video will be, did Nicolas Maduro kill THF Zoo? If you follow the Chicago drill scene, okay, you'll know that legendary rapper and drill pioneer, infamous gang member who had allegedly been involved in up to 3 murders, according to some people, he was gunned down by a masked man wearing a grey Nike Tech. Okay, so they're saying that I'm going to be saying he's wearing the same Nike Tech fit that was seen in the zoo surveillance footage. Now, I'm not saying it was him, but we have heard the Venezuelans been putting belt to ass in Chicago. The fact that anybody even came up with this is insane. Okay, this is the most insane inside baseball. People are hating on me in the comments, but at the end of the day, now I'm hitting you with this political content. All right. And I just thought this was funny, and I'm willing to show it. But there's people in New York City, okay? A lot of the New York subreddits, the New York Drill Gang subreddits, right? They've actually been loving his look. They're saying Maduro looking fly in the Nike Tech fit. They were calling my boy Maduro, all right? People saying that's crazy. We got Maduro in a fleece kit before GTA 6. This will be someone's album cover. Quote me when it happens. West Side Gun probably going to be on the case. Can you ever cook Maduros in an air fryer? Battlefield of Caracas on a PS5, man. Mercenaries 3 needs to drop. People thinking he looks like Dr. Disrespect. And it's ironic. People are saying they really put Maduro in a Nike Tech fleece before taking him to New York. They said, bro, you're about to get a chopped cheese. You need a tech fleece. All right. You need some Timbs and a North Face. Stop it. It kills me. The internet is undefeated. The internet is undefeated. Okay. Maduro in the tech fleece is insane. But basically, okay, there was talk about from the Joint Chiefs about how this operation went down that was going around on Instagram. Let's hear that.
Known as Operation Absolute Resolve, was discreet, precise, and conducted during the darkest hours of January 2nd and was the culmination of months of planning and rehearsal, an operation that, frankly, only the United States military could undertake. What I'd like to do this morning is talk to you through some of the preparation and the details without compromising any of our tactics, techniques, and procedures. There is always a chance that we'll be tasked to do this type of mission again. The operation, known as Operation Absolute Resolve, was discreet.
So he said there's always a chance we might have to pop out and slide again. I ain't going to say too much. I ain't going to say too much about how we slid, just in case we got to run it back on another country perhaps, or maybe Venezuela going to get the belt once again. Maybe the beef is not dead after all.
An extraction so precise it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose: to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of tactical surprise. Failure of one component of this well-oiled machine would have endangered the entire mission, and failure is never an option for America's joint force. Those in the air over Caracas last night were willing to give their lives for those on the ground and in the helicopters. And
now, Russia could never, all right? This is exclusive moves only available to the United States. Whether or not you agree or disagree with it, okay, Putin wishes he could pull moves like this. Bro, you ain't got the stones for a move like this, bro. Like, these fools were willing to put their lives on the line, all right? They didn't just, I don't even want to talk too much, right? But they didn't just, I ain't even going to say too much. But yeah, what Russia did and what America do is two different things, right? It's different levels, all right? And China, I'll talk to you about China in a minute, but China wish they could pull this off, but China ain't never really been on a drill like this before. America knows how to drill. Russia, they think they know how to drill, but they be fucking around doing the drill backwards. You know what I mean? Fuck around, accidentally mess up the drill and then just assault all the women there and don't actually achieve their objective. That's what Russia be on.
as the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead, those forces were protected by aircraft from the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons. As the night began,
they said we swept the scene. We had all different kind of straps and extensions and switches on the planes and the drones that you ain't never seen before. We slid as a whole team. We took out all of the air defenses. You couldn't even shoot our planes and our drones down. We slid undercover, took out all your defenses, and then just got exactly where we needed to be, bro. And China and Russia wish they could move like this.
Let me talk a little bit about the preparation. After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets. In early December,
they said we was going to kill your dog too. We was going to kill your dog, your cat. We found out what you ate. We found out everything about you, and we slid. Like, they really was on his ass. Like, when Lil Durk says we was on them cars, they was on them cars. They was on a pet.
Force was set pending a series of aligned events. Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise, and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel so, as the president said, they could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of the year. And over the weeks through Christmas and New Year's, the men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met and the president to order us into action. Let me talk.
So they was on their ass, basically. They was scoping them out. They had eyes on them. They basically was waiting for the weather to be right. They didn't rush the drill. They didn't run in there untactically, fuck it all up. They was waiting. They was watching. They knew everything about this dude. And when they was ready to strike, boom, they grabbed him up. It is insane. Okay. Now, what's really interesting is I really want to talk about what the consequences of this are. And I'm just going to explain this to you guys quickly. As a nerd who mainly follows hip hop and drill and gang stories, but I do have a passing interest in politics, and I guess I'm of a certain reading level where, you know, I can at least explain, you know, some of these things in a way that not everyone's going to understand. If you don't know the full story, okay, Russia invaded Ukraine, all right? Ukraine was part of Russia many years ago. They gave it away. It became its own country. They wanted it back. They wanted the resources. They wanted the oil. They wanted the fresh water. They wanted a warm water port, all right? They took Crimea, and they basically said, look, we want to invade all of Russia, all of Ukraine, and make it Russia again. Now, they flopped. They tried to storm the capital. They sent in the VDV, which is like the special forces they send from the sky parachuting in. It flopped, all right? Zelensky was too smart. He outfoxed Russia every turn. And for everyone saying, oh, Russia's going to beat... Ukraine was supposed to be taken in a few days, and Zelensky was meant to be dead or in jail. Flopped, all right? Completely flopped. What they tried to achieve, they failed at. And then they basically moved the goalpost. Now we're nearly, we're nearly 4 years on. I swear, is it going to be 3 or 4 years? Was it 2022? We're years on from this invasion of Ukraine. Yeah, they've taken big chunks of the country. Maybe it's death by 1,000 cuts and it's taken more and more time, but the Americans and the Europeans, they've supported Ukraine and basically supplied them with straps, supplied them with guns, supplied them with arms to basically say, look, we're giving you guys the straps to go slide on our shared ops because we don't fuck with Russia, but also we don't want to have a direct one-to-one confrontation with Russia. But what's really interesting, okay, and we could talk about this another day if you really want me talking about geopolitics, but the Russia-Ukraine conflict was really a proving ground because China want to take Taiwan. Taiwan's a little island. If we're for all my folks that ain't literate on the global economy like this is Taiwan, okay? China want Taiwan bad, okay? They feel like it used to be part of China. As far as China are concerned, Taiwan already is China. It's already ours. There's one China. There's one China. This whole thing's China. But Taiwan, they're saying, fuck all that, okay? We had a war decades and decades ago. Our administration in the war, whatever civil war, you know what I'm saying? Taiwan, all right, they call themselves the Republic of China, all right? They're basically saying, no, we're the real China, and eventually we're going to, you know what I'm saying? We're going to stand on business. And they're getting ahead in more technology. You know, they've got, obviously, ironically, so many of the, the chips, like the processing chips, you know, that we use in our computers and all of these electronics. A lot of that stuff's made in Taiwan. I don't know why we decided, or the world decided, Taiwan, maybe they're just really hot with the technology in Taiwan, okay? But basically, for some reason, some of the most valuable assets in the whole world are in Taiwan. China want it bad, but America has a good relationship with Taiwan. America's backing Taiwan up. And the only reason China doesn't slide on Taiwan is because they know, one, it's an island. It's hard for you to invade an island. Taiwan's kind of got the ups. They know that these are the ops and that they want to invade them. They know exactly where they'd come from, and they got the backing of the Americans. The Americans basically saying, yo, like, you know how we supplying Ukraine with the weapons and Russia been getting their asses spanked when they were supposed to take this country over in a couple of days? Bro, we big back in Taiwan. And, all right, the United States has a presence in these seas, okay? The United States is kind of tough out here. The United States, they could back Taiwan, and China hasn't really been on enough drills to really understand or know whether or not they could actually take the place, okay? China, with their Timu rocket ships, they might fuck around and find out that Taiwan ain't one to fuck with, right? Ain't nobody to play with. And they might find out, oh shit, the Americans are actually tough. They're willing to stand up to us. So they're quaking in their boots. China was hoping that Putin would be able to take Ukraine quick so that they could basically be like, okay, basically this establishes the international precedent. And this is why the Venezuela situation is so ironic, because the reason why China were low-key supplying tires and equipment and machinery and bombs and shit to Russia to hit Ukraine is because they basically wanted Russia to take over Ukraine, to set the precedent in global politics, to basically say, big country can come and take their little bro, take it over, put them out the door, and basically just say, yo, Ukraine's Russia now, fuck you. They want to be able to set that precedent so that they can say, all right, fuck it, Taiwan, this China now, shut up, we're taking it, all right? But here's the thing. It didn't work out that way. When Putin tried to invade Ukraine, when Russia tried to invade Ukraine, didn't work out. That 3-day, 2-day, whatever military operation didn't work out. Now we 2-3 years in, right? And America been low-key sending the bombs, and this is the irony. They're playing both sides because they're not sending so much so that they could destroy Russia, because then Russia might send nuclear bombs and people worry about I ain't think Russia got the stones to drop no nuclear bomb. They're pussies, all right? But America's played it smart. They've played both sides. They've basically just given Ukraine just enough to keep Russia just churning and just Russians dying, the bodies are piling up all day long, okay? But it's not enough for Ukraine to completely win. And China are hanging on, they're everywhere. They're going, please, like, when is this going to go? But then at the same time, this situation is still open and all the arms companies are making a bunch of money. There's fights over the oil. You know, Trump was trying to get this minerals deal so that he could extract resources from Ukraine. He's very smart. He's playing both sides of this situation. But this is why China's pissed, and this is why this thing's crazy, because what Trump has just done to Venezuela is low-key kind of what Russia was trying to do to Ukraine, but they couldn't pull it off because they're some bitches, all right? And this is a real headfuck for China for multiple reasons, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Because this really is Trump sticking it to the Chinese. Because Trump's basically saying, Russia can't do that shit. China, you better not try that shit. But big USA, we do whatever the fuck we want. We want to jump into Venezuela and kidnap the president. Eat a dick. We're going to do whatever the fuck we want. So a lot of people have felt like Trump was actually sticking it to the Chinese. And another reason, you won't believe this, right? What do you think Maduro was doing the day of his capture when the US bust through the door and drilled on him and his wife? They were only meeting the Chinese delegation. All right? How insane is this? Chinese diplomatic officials arrived in Caracas and met Maduro the day of the US strike. So Trump said, hey, China, you want that Taiwan? You some bitches, bro. You were in town to meet this fool and he got drilled. He got popped the same day. Stood on bits. Again, I'm not saying, I say no love letter to Trump, right? And there's definitely reasons why international law needs to be respected. The US shouldn't bully nations like this. And I'm not saying it's good that the US is bullying nations like this, but in a world where, look, if we're going to run bully tactics, Trump really bullying fools, right? The Chinese diplomatic officials were there that day. They were there trying to cut deals. And this is the US's ops. They know the US don't fuck with China. This is when the ops linked up. This is like two big ops of yours linking up, and then the next day one of them gets popped. And it's like, yeah, see how that link up went. You know what I'm saying? People saying either Trump did it on purpose to rattle sabers, or his administration is so incompetent they didn't consider the consequences of accidentally killing People's Republic of China diplomats. This feels like an extremely consequential subplot to an already momentous event. What the fuck? Now, I'm not going to lie. Again, this isn't me doing a Trump glazing session. I'm indifferent to the situation. But let's say his administration is so incompetent. I don't think you can say his administration is incompetent because they went in there and they fucked shit up and they got Maduro. Maduro is in New York City now. To say that he's incompetent, at least on this one micro issue, you can't really say that, bro, because they got that motherfucker down with laser precision. That's competence right there. Whether or not you agree with the reasoning for doing it or whether he should be able to do it on a global stage where we're trying to tell, well, not we, but the United States trying to tell other countries that you don't invade sovereign nations. Meanwhile, you do this, but it's basically like him saying, yeah, fuck, you guys don't do it. It's one rule for me and one rule for ye, all right? We gonna fuck shit up because we the biggest. But yeah, people saying realistically they wouldn't be near Maduro at like 1:30 a.m., but they linked up with him that day. But people are saying China and the US both had diplomatic officials in Ukraine when Russia invaded, so this isn't really unusual. But were they there for high official level agreements with Zelensky? I don't think they were. They're saying Germany's chief spy was caught up. They don't care about what they're doing, which could mean we do what we want to anyone, anywhere, or they want to show strength in the face of China. I think they want to show strength. And this is a very good point. It shows that China couldn't protect Maduro. You guys think you're going to take Taiwan? You couldn't even keep your mans from getting kidnapped. And we got his wife. Right? It says couldn't protect or did not want to protect. Venezuela is not China's strategic interest, being halfway on the other side of the world and well within the United States sphere of influence. Okay? Doesn't most of Venezuela's oil go to China? Venezuela's home to the world's biggest proven oil reserves, produces 1.1 million barrels of crude oil a day, with most of it going to China and India. Oopsie daisy. All right? Oopsie daisy. Maduro glad handling with Chinese delegates, but hours later his China benefactors could do nothing to save him from being toppled. That's a heck of a message. Facts. All right, they couldn't do shit. They couldn't do shit for you. Okay? Some people are saying the capture was negotiated, but apparently he was running for the safe room like a bitch. Okay? Now, what's interesting is there's footage of Maduro with the Chinese delegation going around, and this doesn't look like somebody who was negotiating their own arrest, does it? Looks like he was trying to cut real deals. Looks like he was linking up peace treatying with the ops. And then Trump said, yeah, bet. You linking up with the Chinese? Yeah, bet. Oh, that's a nice vase. That might look good in the new White House ballroom. Let me grab that. Let me hold that. I want to know what watch he's wearing as well, because I bet he's got peas. But you know what I mean? And you doing all of this, filming this, if you thinking the ops are going to pull up and snatch you out of your crib, you're doing all of this for the Chinese. You gobbling the Chinese up. You on your knees gobbling the Chinese. And now look how that turned out. Again, I'm not saying it's good. They're saying US wants that Earl. He got kidnapped, not arrested. China has to respond forcefully to the US. I bet they don't, though. I bet they pussy. All right? China is scratching their head right now going, bruh, like the ops just popped like the biggest, like China shaking in their boots, right? China thinking, bruh, like we might need to just kick back and just China thinking, bro, we need to kick back and just see how this shit works out. Now, to be fair, Trump did promise no new wars and all of this stuff, and that was cap. People saying time to ditch the US dollars. Bro, you think anything's running apart from the US dollars? And I think this is very lame. I hear a lot of dumb Americans talking about, are we going to ditch the US dollar? The BRIC countries are coming together to start their own economy. What? The Brazilians? Irrelevant. Ain't giving a fuck about the Brazilians. The Russians, bro, their economy is in the toilet with this invasion of Ukraine. People want to cope so hard. Like, oh, the Ukraine is going where they're going to get it eventually, bro. It's years on. And the US, if they want to just put Russia out of the door any minute they can just send more weapons. They drip feeding that shit, letting that thing run because it works for them. And what is it? India, bruh, come on, bro. Indian economy, like, yeah, it's a big economy. Yeah, they got hella people. Like, China's the biggest threat. And like, realistically, bro, like, we really going to use your Timu currency that's controlled by an authoritarian government? Like Xi Jinping, he locked in for life. Okay, he locked in for life. Ain't no getting rid of him. He a president for life. Even Donald Trump, they called to talk about him being a dictator and he wants a third term. But Trump ain't trying to fuck up the US dollar is an independent thing. Yeah, he wants to lower the rates, and there's been all this argument about trying to retain control from the Fed, but like US dollars ain't going nowhere. Now, what's interesting, okay, is that basically people are confused why so many people on the left that are admonishing Trump for doing this are supporting Maduro. And this has been confusing a lot of people, right? They're saying, why do so many Americans and European socialists support Maduro? I live in Venezuela, and I was pretty baffled to learn so many Americans and Europeans on the internet supporting him. This is the thing. Two things can be right at the same time. It can be wrong to go in and just like... But this is the thing, like, they're saying he was a dictator, but then so was Saddam, but then it's like Saddam was doing some fuck shit, and yeah, the power vacuum that came after Saddam wasn't so good, but really Saddam was a real piece of shit that needed to get the rope. So it's like, 6-7. But it says, is there a specific policy that he's, and this is how you know whoever wrote this is a troll, because these motherfuckers ain't knowing a single Maduro policy. This is there a policy that he has that made you like him? Do you justify his authoritarianism? If so, why? I don't want to fight. I'm just curious. People don't know. And at least they're honest about it. I don't know enough about him, but most of the rhetoric in the US coming from the top feels like he's trying to start another war like Iraq. From what I've read, it seems a lot more similar to Iraq, where the guy being deposed is far from good, but the invasion caused a lot worse evil to happen. But the options aren't just simp for a dictator or support a military invasion. It says, a lot worse evil is dependent on who you are, and what ethnic group you belong to. The Kurds and other ethnic minorities sure as hell don't think deposing Saddam was a worse evil. All right? And the people are saying it's pretty well established that the invasion of Iraq dramatically decreased the quality of life to this day. Scale of civilians casualties is staggering. Hundreds of thousands of blah, blah, blah. Basically, yeah. Shit got fucked up in Iraq after they got rid of Saddam, and they didn't have a plan. And then even they're saying Iraq was a stabilizing force in the region, especially against Iran. And again, I'm not condoning the invasion of Iraq. That was a mess, right? This is a mess. But at the same time, this could work out different, okay? People are saying, let's say Saddam was very evil. When his government fell, Iraq went from a working economy to widespread poverty, from a government with all kind of religious and ethnicities to being controlled by fundamentalists and kicking out all non-Muslims. The oil got taken by the US the moment the government fell. Let's say Gaddafi was very evil. We went from a working economy in Africa to slave markets. The only winner was the US administration in taking the oil. Now, if you don't care about the well-being of other people and you just care about the well-being of Americans, which again, that's the excuse that people give when they're getting on their knees and they're trying to gobble up Putin, and they say, well, he's just doing right by the Russian people. He's trying to secure the future of Russia. Yeah, but he sucks at it. He fucking sucked at it. He flopped and he failed. I'm not condoning it because I think Putin is a piece of shit. But if Putin had actually took out Ukraine and secured the future of Russia and actually improved Russia, he fucked up both countries. Russia's in the toilet right now as a result of this. They've put so much money in this war and it's not gone anywhere. The US has got the money to actually deal with that. Okay, Russia hasn't. Russia's selling off their oil cheap to fund this dumb war. But what's really interesting about this is if you want to look at it from an imperialist point of view, maybe you don't see it that way, but like you might feel like, yeah, look, the US, they secure in the future, they need that cheap oil. They're trying to get gas. When Trump said he was going to get gas prices to $2, maybe this is what he meant. And I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's okay. Not all money is good money. And there is such thing as blood money. But at the same time, if all you care about, and a lot of Republicans and people on the right in America, all they care about is the well-being of Americans. Iraq war, they needed to slide on bin Laden. They needed to teach people a lesson in that part of the world. Fuck them. That's what a lot of people are going to think. Okay, I'm not saying I agree with it, but that's what's going on. People are saying it's not that Venezuela is some socialist utopia. Rather, it's like calling Mamdani a communist demon for wanting to serve the polis of New York City and adhere to the U.S. Constitution. Maduro is ridiculously maligned by fascists and authoritarians in the U.S. who are much more authoritarian than Maduro could ever be. or at least they're democratically elected. Well, you could argue that they're not. It would make much more sense for the Nobel Committee to grant the Peace Prize to an amorphous Antifa movement in the US, which does a lot more to achieve peace, don't know about that, than a warmonger opposed to Maduro and seeking a violent invasion of Venezuela to achieve capitalist, imperialist, and fascist ends. They're saying, what makes you say the US is more authoritarian than Maduro? The OP is standing on business, right? Post this in another comment. He controls 100% of the Supreme Tribunal, the military, and the Electoral Council, which organizes the election. He's made it illegal to criticize him on national TV or radio, and he imprisons members of the opposition every month. What is your definition of authoritarian? And he's getting down votes, but it's a good point, bro. As much as people say Trump is shutting down anyone criticizing it, realistically, bro, I'm not going to do it because I'm trying to be careful, but it's like I could go to the US and just talk mad shit about Trump, and it's probably not going to be that bad for me. They're saying people are getting questioned at the border. They're saying all sorts of things. But realistically, I could go to America on a valid visa and say I don't like the current administration and I'm not going to get locked in jail. I'm not sure if that's the case in Venezuela. It says, how many countries has Venezuela invaded? How many millions of civilian people was Maduro armed? How many countries? So it's it's becoming a little bit of whataboutism, right? But it's like, why do so many Americans and European socialists support Saddam Hussein? I live in Iraq and was baffled to learn so many Americans and Europeans on the internet support him. Is there a specific thing? It's funny, right? They're throwing this back at him and basically saying, it's kind of like, why is everyone liking him? But anyway, it's super interesting. Okay, why do you think the murderous dictator has the best interest in mind? Maduro definitely wasn't. It doesn't sound like he was a good guy, but two bad things can coexist at once. Now, what's going on? People are saying, is there any legal justification for the attack? I think that's the point. There isn't going to be. This is a tough guy move. This is a fuck you, fuck around, find out we're doing whatever the hell we want. Okay. The legality of the operation has been called into question. With even some of Trump's allies saying it violated international law. This isn't about brother. When you're the biggest, you make up the laws. I'm not saying it's right, but you can make up the laws as you go along. When you're the biggest, you're the biggest in town. You're the biggest, toughest, baddest with the biggest gun. They can say whatever they want. Now it says experts spoke to the Guardian. They agreed that the US has likely have violated the terms of the UN Charter. Trump don't give a shit about that UN Charter. But hey, if that's what it is, that's what it is. It was signed October 1945 and designed to prevent another conflict on the scale of the Second World War. A central provision of the agreement, Article 2, 2.4, with the BDs in them, states that states must refrain from using military force against other countries and must respect their sovereignty. And that's what it's all about, okay? It's not respecting sovereignty, all right? This King's Council, so they're talking to British lawyers, just for the record. Founding head of Doherty Strait Chambers and a former president of the UN War Crimes Court in Sierra Leone said the attack was contrary to Article 2.4 of the Charter. The reality is that America's in breach of the United Nations Charter. All right, it's committed a crime of aggression, which the court at Nuremberg described as the supreme crime. It's the worst crime of all. And I'm not condoning it, but do something. You're going to have to do something. What's the UN going to do? Invade the White House and grab Trump? It can't happen. Trump can do that to other people. You can't do it to him. It can't be done, right? So you can cry about it, and maybe I'll cry about it too. Maybe I'll think about this issue and I'll think, actually, that wasn't justified. That wasn't fair. But, bruh, like, no one's going to do shit. No one's going to do anything, okay? It says the US might try and argue that it attacked Venezuela in self-defense to counter the alleged threat from the narco-terrorist organization it accuses Maduro of leading. Both the UN Charter and its own domestic defense laws have some provision for the use of military force in self-defense, but people are saying there's no conceivable way America can claim, although I doubt it will, that the action was taken self. But it doesn't matter. They don't need to do anything, all right? Trump basically said, we run shit now. Look at this.
Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. It's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure the oil infrastructure and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so.
So he's basically saying we're ready to do it again. And what's even more crazy, okay, is Donald Trump had said previously, and he backed it up again, he said the Colombian president needs to watch his ass because we might slide on Colombia next for the same reason.
Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass. And today he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So just what your message is about that.
Well, he has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Said he better watch his ass, man. Said he better watch his ass on that one, man. So there's actually footage of Maduro landing in the USA after his capture that I did see going around. Now, this was him, I think, getting off a plane. I don't think it was very easy to see what was going on.
It is interesting to see that even
the GB News for this. But it did appear that, there was a delegation of people kind of getting off this plane and they could kind of see what looked like it being filmed, a kind of another sort of perp walk type thing where a whole group was being led down there. I don't know if that's him. Looks like it's maybe somebody in cuffs holding onto the handrail. But it looked like this was him initially coming off a plane. And there was more footage and images of him in custody kind of going around afterwards. So this is him, former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in custody in New York. And he threw up the set, all right? He threw up the double thumbs, all right? DEA got him down, okay? They've been taking unlimited pictures of him. Says he's changed clothes more times today than I have all weekend. That's it. They got him out of the Nike Tech. They put him in a blue jumpsuit, right? Says I thought they were in a Costco. It looks like a big Costco. They're saying the US is just one big Costco. No, Costco has standards, bro. You wish. There's people saying this is bizarre. DEA, the Department of Exxon Affairs. Good lampooning, guys. My guess is they made a deal. We'll spare your family if you come with us or something. But they took his wife. Shit deal. Now, the rumor that I'm hearing going around is that actually they basically said to him, look, we might give you a pardon if you come with us and we have the trial, and we might give you a pardon, but we're basically taking over the country. So we can either pop you, or you can come with us and keep your life. And eventually you'll basically get to retire to Dubai with a little bit of the money left over. People saying this is off and feels weird. He seems surprisingly okay with this. People saying he's going to get the pardon. I don't know, though. Trump might make an example out. Very nice. Very nice. It's the same guy, isn't it? That's the same guy. You ever seen the film The Dictator? Remember this? Who remembers this classic movie, The Dictator, man? This was like Borat with politics. But anyway, Maduro got caught up, man. He got caught up. This is him doing an official perp walk in another fit, all right? Whole new fit. This is him in the DEA building. And his wife is awaiting further judicial proceedings at the MDC in Brooklyn. I swear that's where they had Diddy, so his wife's in a whole world of trouble. If that's the ultimate punishment, if they throw his wife in there with Diddy. Nah, Diddy's at Fort Dix now. Crazy. Got him, man. That's a crazy picture. This is history. You're seeing world history in the flesh as it happens, okay? He is looking very nice right there. I ain't gonna lie. Posing for a selfie with a guys. It is actually it's insanity. It's pure insanity. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's actually crazy. So look, man, I don't usually talk about politics, but I did think this was interesting. This is world history in the making. We're witnessing world history in real time. Is insane, okay? I don't know what's going to happen with this. I'm not condoning it. I'm not celebrating it. I'm not even trashing it either. I don't know what the play is, okay? I'm just trying to make sense of it like everybody else here. If you want to see me cover more politics and more world events, let me know down in the comments, man. I can do more videos like this. I can follow this story. If this was boring and you guys aren't interested in this, I'm probably going to get no views on this video, and that's okay too. I'll keep you guys up to date on some other stuff, but I'm interested in this. I wanted to learn about this in real time with you guys. That is what this channel is all about. For everybody that's been hating recently, it's like, bro, this is trap, more Ross. I'll talk about whatever the hell I want on this channel for as long as I want or as little as I want, and we learn about things together, okay? So I wanted to spend an hour of my time learning about this and catching up with the news about this situation, and hey, get paid for it as well. It's great. So let me know what you thought of that, man. If you made it to the end of this video, you are a real one. So I got so much love for you, man. Like if you, or woman, but the statistically more likely a man. But if you made it this far in this video, if you actually made it this far in this video, man, leave me a comment. Let me know that you enjoyed this video. Let me know that you made it to the end. Let me know that you're a real one. You're a real trap disciple, man. Because if you made it this far and you watched this whole video of the content that I'm not even expecting people to give a shit about, you are actually a real one. I got so much love in my heart for you. You are the GOAT. You are the greatest. All the greatest things coming to you in 2026. And I'm so proud of everything that you are going to achieve this year, my guys and girls. So thank you so much for watching this, man. I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'll cover a whole bunch of different topics for you guys tomorrow. I'm very excited to keep at it. And until next time, gang, I'm out of here. Peace with Big VDK.